Aissata Diallo had always been a force of nature. Born in Bamako, Mali, to a family of modest means, she defied the odds to become one of France's most prominent business leaders. At 42, she was the CEO of Lumiere Hospitality Group, a chain of boutique luxury hotels known for their elegance and exclusivity. Her journey to the top was paved with resilience, having navigated systemic barriers in both her homeland and her adopted country. With an MBA from HEC Paris and years of experience in hospitality management, Aissata had transformed the Lumiere brand into a global symbol of sophistication. Yet, on that fateful evening in June 2025, her accomplishments were overshadowed by an incident that would test her resolve like never before. The Hotel Lumiere, nestled in the 8th arrondissement, was hosting an exclusive gala for Paris's business elite. The guest list included CEOs, diplomats, and influencers, all gathered to celebrate the launch of a new partnership between Lumiere Hospitality and a prominent French fashion house. Aissata, dressed in a tailored emerald green suit that exuded confidence, mingled with guests, ensuring every detail of the event was flawless. Her presence was commanding, her smile warm yet authoritative. She was in her element, orchestrating an evening that showcased her vision for the brand. As the night progressed, Aissata stepped into the hotel's grand lounge to check on the catering arrangements. A group of attendees, a clique of affluent executives from a rival firm, stood near the bar, their laughter cutting to the hum of conversation. One of them, a middle-aged man in an expensive tuxedo, caught sight of Aissata and waved her over. Assuming she was part of the staff, he said loudly, "Excuse me, can you clear these glasses? We've been waiting for ages." His tone was patronizing, laced with an assumption that stung more than the words themselves. The group chuckled, their amusement growing as Aissata paused, her expression unreadable. Another guest, a woman dripping in diamonds, added, "And while you're at it, could you fetch us some more champagne? The service here is slower than I expected for such a place." The condescension was palpable, their words dripping with entitlement. They had no idea who Aissata was. To them, she was just another face in a uniform, invisible despite her tailored suit and the quiet authority she carried. Aissata's heart raced, not from embarrassment, but from a familiar anger that simmered beneath her polished exterior. She had faced microaggressions before, countless times, in fact. But this was different. This was her hotel, her empire, built from years of sacrifice and determination. The audacity of being dismissed in her own domain was a slight she could not ignore. Yet, she knew that how she responded would define not just the evening, but her legacy. She straightened, her eyes locking onto the man who had spoken first. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding," she said, her voice steady but laced with steel. "I'm not here to clear your glasses. I'm Aissata Diallo, the CEO of Lumiere Hospitality Group. This is my hotel, and I'm the one ensuring your evening runs smoothly." The room seemed to hush, the air thickening as her words landed. The man's face flushed, his smirk faltering. The woman with the diamonds froze, her glass halfway to her lips. The group exchanged uneasy glances, their earlier confidence evaporating. Aissata continued, her tone unwavering. "I built this hotel to be a place of excellence, where every guest is treated with respect. I expect the same courtesy from those who walk through these doors." Her words were measured, but the weight of her presence filled the space, commanding attention. The incident could have ended there, a brief moment of correction in an otherwise glamorous evening. But Aissata was not one to let such moments pass quietly. She saw an opportunity, not just to defend herself, but to challenge the assumptions that had led to this encounter. She excused herself from the group and made her way to the stage, where a microphone awaited for her scheduled remarks. The gala's attendees, unaware of the exchange, turned their attention to her as she stepped into the spotlight. "Ladies and gentlemen," Aissata began, her voice resonating with clarity and purpose. "Tonight, we celebrate partnership, innovation, and the pursuit of excellence. But I want to address something else, something that happened just a moment ago in this very room." The audience leaned in, sensing the shift in tone. I was mistaken for a server by a group of guests who assumed, based on my appearance, that I could not possibly be the CEO of this establishment. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some shifted uncomfortably, while others leaned forward, intrigued. Aisata's gaze swept the room, unflinching. I am a black woman from Mali, and I am the CEO of Lumiere Hospitality Group. I built this company from the ground up, overcoming barriers that many of you will never face. Yet, tonight in my own hotel, I was reminded that no matter how high you climb, some will only see the color of your skin. Her words hung in the air, raw and unapologetic. She spoke of her journey, from a small village in Mali to the boardrooms of Paris, where she had fought for respect in an industry dominated by those who did not look like her. She recounted the countless times she'd been underestimated, dismissed, or outright ignored because of her race and gender. But she also spoke of her triumphs, how she had turned Lumiere into a beacon of luxury, how she had mentored young women of color, and how she refused to let prejudice define her worth. I could have stayed silent tonight, she continued. I could have let the moment pass, as I've done so many times before. But silence is complicity, and I will not be complicit in letting ignorance go unchallenged. This hotel is a testament to what is possible when you refuse to accept the limits others place on you. And tonight, I ask all of you, guests, partners, colleagues, to examine the assumptions you carry, because those assumptions shape not just how you see me, but how you see the world. The room was silent, the weight of her words settling over the crowd. Then, slowly, a woman in the front row stood and began to clap. Others joined, and soon the applause swelled, filling the grand lounge with a sound that was both affirming and electrifying. Aisata stood tall, her expression a mix of resolve and quiet pride. She had not planned to make this speech, but it was a moment she had been preparing for her entire life. The aftermath of Aisata's speech was immediate and far-reaching. Within hours, clips of her remarks began circulating on social media, shared by attendees who had recorded the moment. By morning, the story was trending across platforms, with hashtags like hashtag Aisata Diallo and hashtag Lumiericio amplifying her message. News outlets picked up the story, framing it as a powerful stand against racism and elitism. Some praised her courage, calling her a role model for leaders everywhere. Others, predictably, criticized her for making a scene, accusing her of exploiting the incident for publicity. Aisata, however, was unfazed by the noise. She had anticipated the backlash and welcomed the conversation it sparked. In the days that followed, she doubled down on her commitment to change. She announced a new initiative through Lumiere Hospitality Group, a diversity and inclusion program aimed at training staff and educating guests about unconscious bias. The program would also provide scholarships for young people from underrepresented backgrounds to pursue careers in hospitality, ensuring that the industry reflected the world it served. The group of guests who had mocked her issued a public apology, claiming their remarks were a misunderstanding. Aisata accepted the apology but used it as a teaching moment, issuing a statement that read, "Mistakes are opportunities to learn, but only if we confront them honestly. I hope this moment inspires reflection and growth, not just for those involved, but for all of us." Her response was widely praised for its grace and clarity, further cementing her reputation as a leader who could navigate even the most challenging situations with dignity. The incident also had a ripple effect within the hospitality industry. Competitors began reevaluating their own practices, with some announcing similar diversity initiatives in response to public pressure. Aisata became a sought-after speaker, invited to conferences and panels to share her story and advocate for systemic change. She used these platforms to highlight the contributions of Black women in business, emphasizing that her success was not an anomaly, but a testament to the untapped potential of those who are often overlooked. Behind the scenes, Aisata faced challenges of her own. The emotional toll of the incident lingered, a reminder of the personal cost of her public stand. She confided in her close friend and mentor, Fatou Ndiaye, a retired hotelier who had faced similar struggles in her career. "You've done something bigger than yourself," Fatou told her over coffee one morning. "But don't forget to take care of Aisata, too. The world will demand more of you now, but you owe it to yourself to rest." Aisata took the advice to heart, finding solace in small moments of joy, spending time with her teenage daughter, Amara, who was fiercely proud of her mother, or visiting her parents in Bamako, where she was celebrated as a hometown hero. These moments grounded her, reminding her why she fought so hard to reach this point. As the weeks turned to months, Aisata's story continued to resonate. It inspired countless others to speak out against discrimination, from employees sharing their experiences in corporate boardrooms to students challenging biases in their classrooms. Her speech at the gala was studied in business schools as an example of leadership under pressure, and her diversity initiative became a model for other industries. For Aisata, the incident was a turning point, not just in her career, but in her understanding of her own power. She had always known she was capable of greatness, but that night at the Hotel Lumiere showed her the impact of using her voice unapologetically. She had shocked the world, not with anger or vengeance, but with the audacity to demand respect and inspire change.